Center on Sexual Exploitation. This is our press conference revealing the full list of the Dirty Dozen List 2016. The National Center on Sexual Exploitation was founded in 1962 with the mission to address the public health crisis of pornography and to expose the links between all forms of sexual exploitation. My name is Haley Halverson. I'm the Director of Communications here. Also speaking today will be Lisa Thompson, our Director of Education and Outreach, and Dawn Hawkins, our Executive Director of the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. And so to start off, to tell you a little bit more about the Dirty Dozen List, Dawn, could you speak, please?
Yeah. Well, I'm happy today because this is our fourth year announcing the Dirty Dozen List. And the reality is that major corporations are changing and human dignity is prevailing. That is what so many of the corporations we've been able to work with are telling us. When they call us in for meetings or respond to us, they're telling us that they want to stand on the side of dignity and that they want to be part of the solution to curb sexual exploitation. The Dirty Dozen List has been tremendously successful. In fact, I'm actually announcing a 2016 victory right now today. One of our targets, Starwood Hotels, it's Sheridan and Weston, has recently announced that they will be changing their policy and getting rid of pornography in hotels around the world. That comes after the Intercontinental Hotels Group announced earlier this week, and Hilton Hotels and Hyatt last year, a direct result of the Dirty Dozen List. Essentially, we've really helped to clean up an industry, the hotel industry, that has for many years been involved in the business of distributing hardcore pornography. We know that it's incredibly successful. A few other victories from the Dirty Dozen List include working to change Google. They have changed their policies and no longer allow apps in Google Play that are sexually explicit. They changed their advertising policy and no longer allow sexually explicit or pornographic ads or ads that link to pornographic and explicit websites. They've lost a lot of revenue because of that policy change, and we are so grateful that they chose curbing sexual exploitation over profiting from it. There are many other victories you can see at dirtydozenlist.com, but I want to also just explain the reason for the Dirty Dozen List. The purpose of the Dirty Dozen List is to name and shame a range of actors who contribute to sexual exploitation in the United States, whether it be through pornography, prostitution, or sex trafficking. Groups and agencies and the businesses named in our Dirty Dozen List are among the nation's worst, whether it be because of their size and influence or because their business models are really built on facilitating sexual exploitation. We see that these companies are not only protecting and facilitating the exchange of pornography, but they're also pushing an agenda that tends to normalize this type of behavior in mainstream society. How did we get here? Well, since the 1950s, individuals have been getting a regular diet of hardcore pornography, and over the intervening decades, this has colored their judgment. Mainstream pornography today is incredibly violent, degrading, and objectifying, especially towards women. We see those themes overwhelming our society as we're trying to curb sexual violence in our militaries, in our college campuses, and in the street. We see a problem of increased demand for child sexual abuse images, increased acting out and abusing of children. We see increased sex trafficking and prostitution, sexual abuse among women and girls and boys. This is a problem. This is what has happened as we've allowed the normalization and acceptance of a pornified culture. At the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, we work for a world where the pornified vision of reality, that's the insatiable consumption of human beings for the selfish sexual pleasure, and the raw, brutal, debasing, violent, and hate-filled themes, that becomes unacceptable. Now, we are calling on all people with any respect for human dignity to help us protect one another, to help us protect children, to stand up for humanity. I'm emotional because we are seeing the effects of this on so many women, children, and families. We are proud to announce the 2016 Dirty Dozen list because we expect significant changes, even more progress in helping to curb sexual exploitation. In 2016, we have listed the American Library Association, Amazon, Amnesty International, Backpage.com, Cosmopolitan Magazine, the U.S. Department of Justice led by Attorney General Loretta Lynch. We have also named HBO, Sexpresso Cafes, Snapchat, and Snapcash. As we are happy to say, we removed Starwood Hotels. We've added Verizon and Google's YouTube. Let me just focus on Amazon. Today, we're only going to have the opportunity to focus on a couple of these targets and their reasons for being added to the list. But you can find all the reasons at dirtydozenlist.com. So Amazon, it has clearly revolutionized the internet and sales as we know it. As they continue to surge in growth, we call on them to stop dabbling in the business of sexual exploitation. As the world's largest online retailer, they're also known for their lightning fast shipping, their Kindle e-reader, selling virtually anything online, and increasingly they've become a giant in the tech world of hosting and servicing websites. Their policies, while they're somewhat wishy-washy, tend to be on the side opposing pornography and sexual exploitation. However, they often contradict one another, they are unclear, and they are not frequently enforced. For this reason, there is kind of a creep among Amazon, and it's really become the world's leading porn shop. They distribute pornography and sadomasochistic paraphernalia. Their Kindle e-reader exposes children to sexually explicit images and content with incest, rape, child exploitation themes, and their Amazon Web Services is used to host pornography and prostitution websites. What started us really on the track of looking after Amazon happened last year when a mother contacted us when her teen son showed her what he was exposed to on Amazon. He did an innocent search looking for graphic t-shirts in the men's section on Amazon and was bombarded with sexual images, some of them full frontal nudity and depicting sexual acts on the t-shirts. When she showed us that, we decided to look further into what else Amazon was selling. They're selling hardcore pornography magazines and films. Some of it is available for on-demand video. Much of it is available through their Prime shipping rates. We also learned, just for example, a story recently showed that a 12-year-old girl looking on Amazon Kindle for teen books was bombarded with hardcore pornography titles, and they were mixed in right with toddler books on the e-Kindle. When we looked for this, we saw the same thing, and what we're finding is that Amazon is not restricting this type of content to any one category well enough. It's the consequences of the porn-saturated world and exposing our children to this type of material are horrendous. And we do see a public health crisis from pornography. And as a result, we call on Amazon to change their policies, to better enforce them, and to make sure they stay away from the business of sexual exploitation. To point out another target, I'm going to hand it back to Haley and Lisa.
Yes, we're going to talk to you a little bit about HBO. This is a well-known cable and TV network. Approximately 30% of American households receive HBO. However, this company has found itself on the Dirty Dozen list because they're using their platform to normalize softcore pornography and sexual violence. We're seeing that HBO is pushing pornified entertainment into the mainstream entertainment. And the National Center on Sexual Exploitation believes that HBO's combination of porn culture and pop culture is leading not only to a further normalization of pornography or the sexual objectification of women, but also to the belief that you can watch rape or sexual violence for fun. The HBO has a long history of promoting original content that does just this. Back in 2005, the series Cat House followed the lives of prostituted women in Nevada. It attempted to sanitize the inherently exploitive and damaging field of prostitution. Next, True Blood was the first TV show done by HBO that I ever saw. I was first exposed to it when I was 15 years old because everyone was watching it. What True Blood does is it uses the backdrop of a supernatural storyline in order to promote pornified sexual violence and orgies, incest, and a lot of full nudity. Next, Boardwalk Empire is a series that just ended this last 2014, and this featured a lot of full frontal female nudity, full frontal male nudity, incest again, and sexualized violence. These themes HBO thinks that America wants and is consistently putting forth. And this has further culminated in a current series that is popular but has received a lot of criticism for its promotion of sexual violence, and that is Game of Thrones. Lisa, could you speak to Game of Thrones?
Yes, sure. So hello, everybody. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the show Game of Thrones. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's a fantasy epic, which is now in its 5th season. Or actually, it'll be starting its 6th season in April. But the key thing to note about it is that it's absolutely brimming with pornographic sex scenes, misogynistic dialogue, depictions of sexual violence that are so graphic that when you take this amalgam, you're really creating an ambiance that brings the character of torture pornography to the American living room. The whole series hinges on the storyline of incest. This is what gets the whole story going. And repeatedly we see scenes of incest, a storyline revolving incest, moving the whole thing forward. One has to wonder why HBO would even choose such a series to adapt from the book series to a television program if the storyline is so inherently based on a storyline of incest. But in addition to themes of incest, there's repeated brutal rapes and just that really boggle description. The description here would be pretty graphic. Just think like women being sold by their brothers and raped on their wedding nights, women being raped by their brothers at the altar of their dead son, and women being raped on their wedding night while a childhood friend watches on those. Another really important thing to understand about Game of Thrones is how it uses the backdrop of prostitution and brothels as sort of a wallpaper for the entire series. When you have so many settings in which dialogue and action is taking place in a brothel, it's a really convenient backdrop for lots of full nudity, explicit sex scenes, and just that thing to unfold on a repeated basis. It really has kind of almost become like a white noise within the show that you have this constant and sexually explicit scenes. And when you take the totality of these things, and we've outlined all this in a letter which we will be sending to HBO today, and which will be up on our website, and you can read in much more thorough detail what's there. But when you take the totality of what HBO has done through Game of Thrones, we really believe that it would be more aptly named Shame of Thrones. It's a place where rape and sexual violence is king. All right, and next.
Well, Snapchat and Snapcash, we've added them to the Dirty Dozen list this year. Many of you are probably wondering, why did it take us so long? Since Snapchat's inception, many have argued that it was really simply built for the purpose of sending nude photos and videos to one another. Snapchat is one of the most popular apps among millennials and teens, and is growing among all sides of society. Almost 50% of seniors are using Snapchat daily, and 77% of college students. While it's not only used for sexting or sending nude pictures and videos, that is very much a large percentage of what it is being used for as well. Let me back up. The reason why we really decided to put Snapchat and Snapcash on the 2016 list is because they have now found a way to monetize the sending of these nude pictures and videos with the creation of Snapcash. Snapchat partnered with payment processor Square in 2014 to enable the sending of money on its app back and forth between users using the tool SnapCash. Both Snapchat and Square receive a percentage of money that is sent using this tool on their services. Now, how is Snapchat being used? The only use I can find on the internet is that it's being used to send graphic and sexual pictures and videos to people. A quick search of other social media websites like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and others show that people are posting explicit pictures on these other social media websites, asking people to find them on Snapcash and to send them, find them on Snapchat and to send them Snapcash in exchange for more egregious types of video and pictures. And one search just last week that I did on Instagram showed that there were 7,755 posts. Almost all of them were urging people to send Snapcash on Snapchat for more pornography. This is a tremendous problem. On some other websites that I've read, namely one on Reddit, where there were men talking about how they've been using Snapchat, some users explained that they found some children, young teens, through their stories on Snapchat, and then they sent them messages and offered them $5 in exchange for nude pictures that the children would send them, and that some of the teens did do this. This is a tremendous problem. Not only are children creating and distributing child pornographic images, but they are also, it's also become a place where predators are finding children and are grooming them and getting them to produce more content. The other thing that I want to point out is that Snapchat was worth $3 million in 2014, and the estimated value that they're worth in last year is $50 million. One of the major reasons why there's such an increase in their value is because of the creation of Snapcash. Their business model very much relies on making money through this kind of material, and for that reason we have added them to the Dirty Dozen list, and we encourage you to learn more at dirtydozenlist.com.
Well, and to profile another one of the members of our Dirty Dozen list, we're going to turn now to Verizon. Verizon is finding itself on our list for the third year in a row for its repeated failure to address its continued distribution and sale and profit from pornography. You know, Verizon bills itself as America's largest communications network and that they're ranked #1. But today we're sad to say that they're ranked among some of the 12 top offenders in terms of normalization of sexual exploitation. So as in the course of as the years have unfolded and we've been in dialogue with Verizon, one of the communications that we received back from one of their executives actually explained that their offerings in this way: the explosion in choice is a tremendous benefit to our customers. Indeed. Well, let's just talk about some of that choice that's offered on the pornography channels provided by Verizon. Now, I should clarify that some of these are via pay-per-view and others are by dedicated pornography channels. So some of the titles that we found just this year include things like Horny Schoolgirls and Ghetto Rod Ambush, Amateurs Paid for Sex, Asians Damaged. And just yesterday, when our president looked up a few more, we found things like Black and Ready 18-year-olds, Breaking In 18-year-olds, and Gagging 100-pound 18-year-olds. So in just this small sampling of titles, I think you can see there's some important themes that begin to emerge from the types of pornography that are on offer by Verizon. They accentuate the first-time experiences of females, of girls who are just turning 18, so transitioning them from the young and innocent into the horrors of porn. They emphasize the barely legal age of the performers, the petiteness of their bodies, And you often see very significant age differentials discussed in this pornography. And so in this way, Verizon is very much catering to the sexual fantasies of its customers. Now, not only does it provide this material, but it's complicit in helping to cover it up and make sure that people who don't want it be known that this is what they're consuming can do so with convenience. They tell customers, they advertise on almost every single page where this is offered, movie titles do not appear on your bill. Well, how nice. They also even make these films available for their My Rewards eligible. So you can get reward points for consuming pornography on Verizon. Now, we're also concerned about their internet wireless services, and actually maybe you want to comment a little bit on that in the opt-in situation, Dawn. But in general, I mean, just in terms of what's on offer on their television, we're talking about hardcore pornography that is exceedingly exploitive and promotes themes like incest, rape, child, and the exploitation of young girls.
I just want to add to it, this is the third year that we've put Verizon on. Just like Lisa said, we've had a little bit of progress with Verizon, but it's not really something to brag about. Verizon did have all of these child-themed and slavery-themed, rape-themed films, and after it came out that they were defending these titles, they changed the titles. As Lisa noted, now they're saying that they're 18-year-olds, but the content of the films remains the same. The girls are made to look very young, and it's very violent and degrading type of acts that are being depicted in these films. So they're trying to cover up their involvement with the child-themed, rape-themed, and incest-themed films by simply changing the titles of what they've been selling for a long time. As Lisa did mention, they're also in the business as a wireless provider and as an internet service provider. Well, they can do much to help curb sexual exploitation in those areas. We call on them to better provide parents options to filter out the wireless phones. It's hard. Most of their customer service people at their stores don't even know that Verizon offers some very limited tools, so they're not even telling parents about these options. So make that more visible, make them work, develop them so they work better. And as an internet service provider, they're pumping hardcore, violent, damaging pornography into our homes on a regular basis. Ask them to adopt a model similar to what they've done in the UK, where people have to opt in for that stuff. It's not naturally pushed into our homes and our families. So Verizon, please make this the year that you will change.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching for this press conference. We encourage you all to go to dirtydozenlist.com. Once you're there, you can take dozens and dozens of actions, from signing petitions to writing emails, in order to help facilitate real-world change and to let these companies know that you don't want them to be in the business of sexual exploitation. Just last year, Hilton Hotels told us that they were receiving 1,000 emails a day at one point from our Dirty Dozen List campaign. And just this morning alone, over 2,000 signatures have been added to our petition calling for Verizon to make changes to their policies as well. So please go to dirtydozenlist.com to learn more and to get involved. Thank you very much.